Oh, again.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Coming at you from a different place this week.
Yeah.
Welcome to House Party.
Why not? Stop complaining about it.
Yeah.
Change is good.
Yeah. Announcements.
We have a mission trip coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be awesome. And now it's less than half of the spots are available.
That's right.
So, in other words, more than half of the spots have filled up. So definitely be talking to your parents if you want to go. Talk to us and tell us to talk to your parents if you want to go.
We would love to.
Yeah. $50 to register. It's $300 to go. We've never let the cost of a trip stop anyone from going. So if you're like, I can't, my family can't afford it, lame. That's really lame.
Yeah.
Lame excuses.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fake excuse. But
Yeah, we've never let the cost of the trip stop any of you guys from coming. So if you want to come, talk to us. Or if we hear you talking about it, we might be talking to you pretty soon because we would love to see everybody come on the trip. Fortunately, we can't do that. So we would like to see you guys who want to come on the trip be able to come.
Yeah.
So let us know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think next announcement is you may have seen these around the church lobby. Maybe this is your first time seeing this. Here it is on the screen. And wow, such wow.
How'd you do that?
Like, could you add the sound effect? Wow!
I'll just use yours.
And so we are doing something a little different this summer in that the majority of our meetings are going to be here at Zoe's, where we're at currently. We're in the one of Zoe's.
Yeah.
Along with some really fun events this summer. So our first summer night, as it's listed here, in wherever there was, is going to be on the 24th of May. That is for everybody from incoming 7th graders who are in 6th grade to all of you guys watching this video. You're all invited. We're really excited about what's happening this summer.
Yeah.
So we're excited to invite you guys into that. Let your parents know. We're starting to let them know too. Grab a flyer in the lobby if you're there and hand it to your family. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Next announcement, next week is Student Night. Student Night is an exciting opportunity for you guys to bring your friends. It's a great place to hang out, see your friends, maybe meet some new people, maybe hear a cool lesson. Come hungry because we always have tons of food and it's always really good. So we're really looking forward to seeing some of you guys and maybe some new faces at Student Night.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be lots of fun.
Is it game time, Steven?
Yes. Okay. So I've taken AI and trained it off of your text messages, interesting facts I found on social media, and other things about you, Landry.
Me?
Yes, you. In order to make it as close to you as possible in how it responds to things. So Stetson has prepared a list of questions to interview Landry the AI, and we will see how he responds. I will be voicing for it right now. I'll voice it. But
Great.
Hey man, I'm so stoked to be interviewed by you. Fire away with your questions. Nervous giggle.
Landry, what is your most embarrassing hobby?
Nervous giggle. Oh man, that's a tough one. I guess I would have to say my most embarrassing hobby is probably playing Animal Crossing.
Oh, God.
I know it's not the most macho thing in the world, but there's just something so relaxing and fun about it. Plus,
it is.
my wife Katie loves playing it too, so we can bond over it.
Wow, that's scarily accurate.
That's funny though, because it is really accurate.
Landry, if you were a furry, what animal would you be?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I've never really thought about it before, but I guess if I had to choose, I might be a fox or a wolf.
Nice.
They're both pretty cool animals, and I think it would be fun to embody their personalities and characteristics.
That's so edgy.
But don't worry, I'm not a furry. Nervous giggle.
That's something I would do.
Right.
I would totally clarify. Fun fact, in my last youth group that I was in back in Texas, we all told each other what animals we thought each other were as an icebreaker. And the most popular one for me was a weasel.
Oh, I could see that.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But I guess.
Yeah. Landry, if no one was watching, how would you eat a huge bowl of spaghetti?
It's a good question.
Nervous giggle. Well, if no one was watching, I would probably slurp up the noodles and twirl them around my fork like a madman. And then I would probably take a big bite and let the sauce drip down my chin. Because who cares when no one is around to judge you, right? Laughs loudly. But don't tell anyone. That's just between you and me.
Gross, Landry. Gross. Landry, what superhero do you think you could defeat in hand-to-hand combat?
That's a tough one. I'd like to think that I could take down someone like Hawkeye, or maybe even Spider-Man if I caught him off guard.
What?
But honestly, I think most superheroes would give me a run for my money in a fight.
Nervous giggle.
Except for Spider-Man?
Who could stop a bus?
Catch him off guard? Spidey sense is like his hallmark. Wow. Landry, what nickname would you like us to call you by from now on?
You can call me whatever you like, but most of my friends call me Land.
Yes, okay.
What? No!
Land. Land, tell me about Stetson.
It's going for a while.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
He's calling me out.
What?
Stetson is one of my closest friends and an awesome co-worker.
Oh.
We work together at Christ Community Church in the Next Gen department, and he is the director of Next Gen Ministries. He's a great leader and has a real heart for seeing young people grow in their faith. Stetson is also a total sports fanatic and knows all the stats for every major team in every major sport.
Yeah.
He's always good for a fun conversation about the latest game or match. Plus, he's a really talented musician and can play multiple instruments.
No.
Overall, Stetson is just a really cool guy, and I'm lucky to know him.
Wow, that felt a little self-seeking. Land, tell me about Julia.
Oh, Julia is awesome, man. She's one of our volunteer youth leaders for CC students, and she's just great with the kids. And man, can she sing. She's got a beautiful voice, and we're lucky to have her lead worship for us sometimes. Overall, she's just a really cool person. I'm glad to have her on our team.
Wow, I didn't know that. about
Julie, I bet you didn't know that we're recruiting you for a worship team.
Wow. Who is the wildest leader and why?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I'd have to say Jillian. She always brings such an incredible energy to every event and activity we do with the students. She's not afraid to be silly or goofy, and she's always down for a good prank or adventure.
It's true.
She's also incredibly creative and comes up with the most amazing ideas for our events. I definitely admire her spirit and enthusiasm. She's definitely the wildest leader we have.
Wow.
Okay.
Silly Jillian.
Silly.
You're so silly.
Okay, Landry, what did you think about how well?
I hate it because every time it was like, oh man, that's a tough one. Let me think. It's like, do I really sound like that? And I was like, I hate it.
That's surprising. I was
Yeah.
not expecting it to.
To sound so much like me, to the point where some questions were kind of boring because I was like, no, I wouldn't. It's like, come on, live a little. It's like, come on. Yeah.
Well, that was our really creepily accurate game.
Yeah. I don't know if I liked it, but I also liked it. A weird experience to have it approximate my personality so well.
It was really close.
Yeah, I know. Down to all the things I say. It either says a lot about AI or a lot about Steven, who put in all the parameters for the AI.
Yep.
So you pay very good attention, Steven. All right, guys, we are kicking off a new series today titled, Who Do I Want to Be? We understand that life is coming fast, and sometimes this question comes just as fast. In fact, not sometimes, it's every time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to walk with you guys in that and start maybe helping answer that or affirming that if you're already kind of getting onto that about who do you want to be? So, yeah, Stetson.
Yeah, for sure. And I think today's gonna kind of like lay the framework for a longer conversation, but this is a really good starting point. And in case Landry and I accidentally communicate something other than this, everything that we're talking about, even though it's like, okay, who do I want to be? I think there's kind of this message communicated to you guys of like, this is just kind of like not real life. And then at some point, I don't know, when you graduate high school or when you graduate college, that's when you can actually do something. It's like, we don't agree with that at all. We would say right now, your life has meaning and purpose and value, and you can do things that accomplish things and change people's lives and change the world. That's kind of teasing at the longer conversation. But a good place to start is thinking about what is it that you're passionate about. If I was to describe passion, like the feeling of passion, it's like you hear about something and it makes you angry because you think it's not right. Or you hear someone doing something good and you're like, oh my gosh, if I could drop everything and do that, I would. It could be about some sort of cause or something that you find unjust, or maybe it's just something that you're really good at. Maybe you're passionate about music and your life is just like, man, if I could just make music for the rest of my life, or art, or maybe it's some sort of like athletic thing. A sport is an athletic thing. It's like I'm passionate about this. It's like, that's phenomenal. So we're going to take some time and explore is like, what are you passionate about? But before you guys do that in discussion, we really wanted to nail some things down. And one of those is what you're passionate about. That's good. Like to have this passion inside of you, it's good. And I think a lot of people will point at, like, if it's not this really virtuous thing, then it's just like self-seeking. It's like, well, no, not necessarily. But God has created us in a whole bunch of different ways, and he's put these different passions inside of us, and we shouldn't be too quick to call them good or bad unless they're like obviously bad. It's like, I'm passionate about burning puppies on the sidewalk. It's like, well, that's probably not good.
Seek help.
Seek help.
That's kind of the...
you should be passionate about mental health.
That's your passion. Joking and lightheartedness aside, something like that would be obviously bad. But just to say what Stetson already said in a different way, some of you guys have probably been told that this thing you care about isn't always worthwhile, or is something that you shouldn't pursue long term. Something like that. And that can be kind of hard to hear sometimes.
Sure.
And sometimes it might be true, but in some cases it's not. But the most important thing is, surely you feel very passionate about it right now. And that's significant.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. And the people who might be saying, it's like, you should consider other options, they're probably thinking about your best interests.
Yeah, probably.
But a good place to start is to figure out, it's like, okay, before overthinking it, what am I passionate about? Landry, was there a time like that you could like obviously pinpoint? It's like, oh, I think I'm really passionate about this thing.
Yeah, to do it quickly, there was a point at which I realized, wow, I'm actually really excited to do what I'm doing now. And I know that seems really on the nose because I'm doing it now as I'm talking about doing it now, but it's actually very true. There was a time I wanted to be a video game developer, a famous musician, things like that. Big aspirational goals, some of which some guys you have now. But when I realized I got to hang out with people and show them how much God loves them, and I got to do my best to try and do that as well, and seeing what caring for somebody, especially in a Christ-like way, does for them, it was incredible. And I realized that, that's my passion, to love others and show them that they matter in the way that Christ has loved me and showed me that I matter.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, I used to be in this ROTC program for the Air Force. It was called Civil Air Patrol, but nobody's ever heard of it before. Well, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. And there was one night where I was supposed to go, but I had a chemistry test, and I asked my sergeant if I could skip and study for this test, and they said, yeah. And I think it was around this time of the year, I remember being on my parents' back porch studying for this chemistry test and feeling so glad that I wasn't at the barracks marching around doing all these drills and stuff. And I realized, like, I don't want to go into the Air Force. But counter to that, the exact opposite experience, when I was in high school, my youth pastor asked if I wanted to be a leader in the middle school ministry. And right away, something clicked and it felt like home. And I've been doing that ever since. Yeah. It's just like, oh my gosh, like this just naturally flows out of me, and I care about this in a way I've never cared about anything before.
Yeah, hanging out with you guys is some of the coolest stuff that we get to do. Like the fact that we get to hang out with you guys every Wednesday and see you guys and play games and talk about life with you.
Yeah.
It's like the coolest experience.
Here's why we think this is really important for us to talk about. Your generation is incredible. Like, I am so excited to watch what happens now and also in the coming years too. We know that you are passionate. Like, you guys care. Like, you see like injustice happening around the world, and you care about it way more than any generation before you has ever cared about that. And that says something about you that's really incredible. But this is also really good to talk about because God cares about the things that you're passionate about.
That's right, he does.
He cares about you, and he believes in you. And he thinks that you're incredible. And we believe in your potential now. If we can figure out what we're passionate about now, it's likely that we can start doing something with it now. And we'll get to kind of like a purposeful vein of what that could be. But like
next week.
Yeah, and we'll hint at it a little bit today. But another really big reason why this is important to talk about now is when you get older, it's easy to get stuck in a career, like a job where it's like, well, now this is the job you've been in for 10 years, and so this is kind of what you're going to do for the rest of your life. A lot of people get into different jobs because they never figured out what they're passionate about. They just got into a job because it makes enough money. And there's nothing wrong with that. Supporting some people, their passion is supporting their family, and that's phenomenal.
It's a great passion.
But if you can figure out what you're passionate about now...
and support your family.
Yeah, for sure. And... well, you're not locked into a career right now. And you could spend the rest of your life doing something that's tied into that passion if we take the time to figure out. It's like, what did God make me passionate about? Why did he create me in this specific way? Why did he make my heart move in these different directions? And there's kind of a base answer to that question, why, and you found a really good verse. I got it with me. I can read it if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is Ephesians 2:10, and it says this: "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." What made that verse stick out to you?
I just love that God chooses to invest in us in a way that's like, hey, you have a relationship with me, and right? And we can be like, yeah, God. And he goes, okay, so let's do some good stuff together. Like, you don't have to be a youth pastor sitting on a couch to do good works in the world for the name of God, in the name of Jesus. You could be anything, and we'll touch more on this next week. You could be anything from a professional writer to a professional dancer to a professional door maker to an electrician and serve the kingdom of God, or at the very least do good things in the world. And if you guys are hearing that and going, okay, that all sounds good, but I don't know what I'm passionate about, you might want to come back next week, because we're going to talk a little bit about that and finding your way a bit. But going back to the verse, it's really cool that a God who created literally everything looks at me, one human among many, and goes, I care what you're passionate about. In fact, let's do some stuff together good works with the verses.
Yeah,
Says.
yeah. And what you just said applies to every single one of you. That's exactly how he feels towards each and one of you.
Yeah.
So a way to look at this, maybe in physics class you've learned about kinetic energy and potential energy. If you don't know what it means, it's okay, we'll explain. But it's like when you blow up a balloon, it's got all this pressure in it. And if you... The funnest thing to do with a balloon is to just like hold the little valve and then let go and watch it fly around. It's great. You should do it. Fun for hours.
Fun for hours.
Yeah, but you are like a balloon that has been blown up. And going back to what I was saying is I've never seen a generation blown up that size before. And it's like, holy cow. Whenever someone lets go of that valve, like insane things are going to happen. Or you are like a bow and arrow and the bow is stretched back and all someone has to do is just let go.
Right.
Or you're like a stick of dynamite and the fuse has been lit. And it's just it's not a matter of like, is something going to happen? It's a matter of like, when is it going to happen?
And where is it going to happen?
Right. So if you were a balloon and you're trying to figure out, it's like, what has filled me up with air, or what's pulling the string back on my bow, or what lit my fuse? That's kind of what we're trying to figure out here. Not just because that would be good for us, but because God has made you in an intentional way.
Yeah.
And he believes in you and he cares about you. And we believe in your potential now. If we can figure this out now, man, and you could get started now, your life is going to be awesome. Seriously. So, yeah.
Totally. Like the bow and arrow analogy I love the best is you guys have all of that potential energy, all that passion building up. And some of you guys know exactly where you're aiming. Some of you guys don't yet. And we can talk a little bit more about that next week.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm really excited. I'm almost getting a little ahead of myself because I love where we're going to be going with this series and how we can come alongside you guys and say, hey, I know people talk about your generation a lot, sometimes positively, oftentimes negatively, but we believe in the passion you have.
Yeah.
And we think it is valid, it is worthwhile, and we want to come alongside you and see that passion and care about it the same way God does.
Yeah. One of my favorite conversations I had in my house party was when we talked about being seen. And we just got to talk about talk about each other and like ask each other questions and stuff. The discussion we're about to have, it kind of feels like an extension of that. Like I am excited to learn what the people in my group are passionate about and get to know them even better. That's going to be really fun.
It's going to be a good conversation. Should we leave them to that conversation?
I think so.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We're excited to continue this series with you. We'll pick it up next week.